How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, I'm anti-woke.
Excellent. Is it in your Twitter profile?
I don't have Twitter. I've got Instagram, but It's in my Instagram.
What does it mean?
profile.
What does it mean?
Well, what does it mean to me? People have different interpretations of anti-woke or wokeism. To me, it means people who seek offence where it doesn't exist. They look for the tiniest little thing and pin on it. And
Well, everyone would be anti that, wouldn't they?
No, it's a bit like driving in a bus lane, but not your full car's not in the bus lane. It's just one wheel that's in the bus lane.
You've lost me now. So being someone who's hypersensitive and pedantic is that's annoying and boring for everybody. Maybe we should work in examples. So when you come across when and where do you come across the sort of wokeness to which you are so passionately opposed?
Well,
apart from in the bus lane.
I used to work in local authority. I'm now self-employed, but when I worked in local authority, you didn't get on with your work. There was a few hours a week dedicated to these sort of woke agendas.
Yeah, go on.
Going on these sort of courses and these internal training courses. And
well, like what though? What were they teaching you?
It was all very insincere.
Well, you might have been. You can't speak for anybody else.
No, but the
so what were they teaching you?
So these trainers...
What sort of courses?
These trainers would hold these courses.
Yeah.
And, they're being... I know how much they're paid. They're paid an absolute fortune, and they regurgitate...
That's not anti-woke, mate. That's just envy. So what were the courses? What were they designed to do?
Well, I'm very envious.
I know you are, but what were the courses designed to do? What were they training you to do? What were they doing?
I think they were designed to stifle rational discussion and debate.
Well, they put that on the agenda. They put that on the door, did they?
No, but that was.
So what were they designed to do? What sort of courses are we talking about?
I just said, am I in an echo chamber?
Well, clearly not, mate. No. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't. But you're going to tell me.
So what were the courses officially designed to do?
Right. So we'd go on these courses.
Yeah.
And you'd all be in a room, and it would be some topical discussion.
Oh, God. Down with that sort of thing.
About something that's happened lately. So what would happen?
It's awful, isn't it?
So what would happen?
Yeah.
The powers that be would say, we better, this has happened in America.
Right.
We better send everyone on a course.
For example?
I don't want to quote examples, really.
You kind of have to.
I can't, because then you'll get everyone...
That's the point, isn't it, though? So something that actually happened. That's all.
Well, you bring one up, and I'll give you... I'll play out a scenario.
No, because you're telling me what it means.
Go on.
And the example is these courses that you went on, and the rooms that you sat in, and the speeches that you listened to. So just tell me what they were about.
Let me think of one.
Take your time.
Still there?
Yeah.
The only way that you can really stop this kind of thing is to arouse public opinion. It's very upsetting. It has a bad moral effect.
Forced adversity.
When I was a kid, it was too much supper. Now it's comic books.
I'll burn them tomorrow.
Bad, B-A-D-D, bothered about Dungeons and Dragons.
Ask yourself, what's more terrifying? Fear or the frightened?
I think there ought to be a law against them. Tonight I'm going to show you why.
Hello, everybody. I hate to start the show off with such a dour tone, but we've lost someone. And it's unfortunate, maybe even tragic. I don't know. It's not for me to say. But yeah, it's they got one. They got another one. Dennis Quaid.
A nation of law and order, or wide open borders.
Oh God, damn it!
Which is it? Because it's time to pick a side.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently it's time to pick a really stupid side. Let's see what stupid side Morgan's picking.
It's time to
play games. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's see what Bob the Always can do a little bit better than that.
Mickey Mouse suck. That's what I have to say to Dennis Quaid.
That's what you have to say to Dennis Quaid? All right, fair.
Guys,
that was an obscure reference.
For anybody that's wondering, we invited Bob the Old Ways on to talk about Rings of Power, but now that it's over, we just can't get the guy to fucking leave.
He doesn't. Yeah, like he sleeps under my bed now and like steals my coffee.
Wait, and don't worry, we're not hurting his feelings. He just pretends that we were not saying anything. No, go ahead.
This is not a Tolkien podcast.
I mean, sometimes
it is
one for 6 weeks every 18 months.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about then?
Clone Troopers.
Yeah, Clone Troopers. That's kind of into a little bit of Star Wars now, but also a little bit of politics, kind of
there's
cultural atmosphere.
I don't know if you've heard, Bob. There's this election. You heard about this? Familiar?
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of hearing a little bit about that.
Heard something about that? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's kind of a mess.
Will the revolution be streamed? Be live streamed, right?
Oh God, that's worse. That's awful. God, I hope not.
So be sure to
it will be neither.
Send in your super chats to the revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, low watermark?
You have nothing to lose but your Wi-Fi.
Boy, gamers are on one right now. They're always on one. It seems like they're on one. Have you seen the stuff with this? I don't even know the game or anything. It's just like this one female character that's not hot enough, but it turns out she's actually is just a SA victim in the video games context, and they're complaining she's not hot enough.
I have, that's the remake of Silent Hill 2.
Common problem with SA victims, I hear.
Yeah, they're just like, man, I don't even feel like banging her. Like, okay, well,
good.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what you can do? These guys, what they can do, real quick. I just want to get this out of the way. If they have a problem, maybe they can get someone else to do it for them. If they're really lucky, like this guy.
Welcome to the FAP. Nancy used to do that for me. Handsy Nancy, I called her.
You know what? Yeah, they could find someone to
get yourself a handsy Nancy.
Right. Just go dig up Nancy Reagan and learn necromancy.
I mean, can you do it twice? Can you do that to a corpse twice? Because she was already kind of doing one of those, for the official end. Anyway,
I just want to know if we can get Dennis Quaid to deliver those lines of dialogue as Reagan, since he's playing Reagan in the movie.
I've heard it's a very accurate and like not at all just like a fluff piece for Reagan either, kind of movie.
Not at all. Well, it's not really the point of movies, so sure, it's probably a fluff piece for Reagan. Reagan is unfortunately and mysteriously still highly regarded in many circles in this country.
Yeah,
I think it's because people just like. This is the thing. This is a problem that is not unique to the Reagan era. Is people just kind of like think their politicians do what they say, and even if they mean to, that doesn't happen all the time, and that's not even assuming any deception or malicious intent. That's just politics is hard and complicated. And we know with the Reagan administration, he walked a lot of shit back and got up to a lot of fuckery.
Well,
so yeah.
The truth of most elections is that most voters vote on vibes.
Oh, yeah.
And a significant portion of them don't even know who they're going to vote for until they're in the voting booth, and whichever one gave them a good feeling that day.
That's bizarre to me. I can't even comprehend the brain that's like that.
Like, I get the sports team thing where you just vote for your team and you put up your team signs and you don't really like you're just a team sports person. I understand how someone ends up in that mindset. Like, it's not healthy for you, for them or you, but like, I see how you get there. But like, just like, I don't know, feeling cute today, might vote for Trump. I don't know. Like, what the fuck?
Well, so I think where it comes from is like, okay, so if you get to a point where you're voting for president based on vibes, and you're like taking your time to even decide those vibes, you had to have started wrong and been doing wrong in terms of judgment for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's where somebody like this guy that we were looking at the clip beforehand.
But let's say, for example, preventing barriers to staff progression. So
almost 4 minutes into this call, the guy still hasn't described what he means by woke. He's been asked several questions, prompting questions to be just like, tell me what you mean exactly, and he's he can't do it. And so like I have an upload on my channel from whenever I spoke with Pillar of Garbage for quite a while. I still need to upload some more of that conversation, but the name of that one is literally just right wingers or anti fans or whatever. Basically, they're all just based on vibes. They do everything based on vibes. There's nothing substance, no real analysis or framework for logic or anything underneath the shit they believe and say and do. And I think that's how you end up like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even the team sports voters, most of them picked their team originally based on vibes, not on policy, and not really on any reflection of their own self-interest. They just like the aesthetic of one side or the other more.
Right.
And then they just stick with that until it becomes inconvenient, or unless it becomes inconvenient for them.
We can talk about him here. We can mention at least that, it's as everybody kind of predicted, it does seem like he can no longer just call the thing ISOM
because of the lawsuit.
Yeah. Did you see the first product released with ISOM as ISOM since the lawsuit is called Young ISOM.
Mm-hmm.
And I
that's
think
it's a terrible name. I mean,
bad.
ISOM boy or ISOM lad was right there.
Oh no, ISOMite. It's pretty bad. Like, and he's trying to act like that's not the reason. It's like, come on, man. All right. Well, let's see that next issue of ISOM come out then, and everything.
Yeah, we're like, because how long has it been since ISOM number 2?
That was since that shit dropped. Was it's been well over a year, I believe.
Yeah. There's probably not going to be an ISOM number 3. I'm just putting that out there. Making that prediction right now.
Even amongst his defenders, you can go look and see where people that like the Riperverse for some reason will still say that the ISOM was the weakest title. So they know he sucks.
Did he write ISOM or did somebody else? Yeah, he did. Okay.
Well, I mean, his name, he's credited as writing it.
Sure, he has it's his fault either way, right? Like even if
it's all his fault.
Ghost written. Yeah, if he ghost wrote it or if he had someone ghost write it and it was bad, that's still his fault, right? Like, why'd you hire a ghostwriter then? Or get
but
a better
there's 96 pages of value in that comic. You don't need story, you just need value.
Yeah, well, except for then more recently, whenever people started pointing out that you can, if he's selling these ISOM number 1s for $5, and then they're also reselling on eBay or not reselling for anything worth a shit, which is true. Then they haven't maintained any value. They haven't retained any value really at all. They've actually lost value because they're not even selling for cover price,
right,
for the original price. And then so that's whenever at least the Riperverse goalposts, which has nothing to do with Eric July at all.
No.
They were saying, well, now they're people don't care about how much comics are worth and collected. People want good stories. That's what that matters. And it's like, oh my God, we're saying the other thing the other time. And
literally just talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Yes, that is it. Okay, so what's going on with these right wingers? I'm starting to think that maybe they don't care about having conversations or democracy or anything like that. It's starting to feel like that way. What do you guys think?
I agree. I mean, I'm always reminded the past few years of the principle that you cannot reason someone out of a position that they did not use reason to get themselves into.
It's true.
Right. So most of their beliefs are not based on reason. They're using motivated reasoning to work backwards into what they were feeling about something.
Yeah.
Or that they have an outcome they want, right? Like they're
to be fair, this is also true of most liberals and leftists as well. I'm not saying this is a conservative.
No,
everybody has an outcome they
thing.
want, but the difference is between us and them, so to speak, is that are we willing to literally do anything and everything in order to achieve our goals,
Right.
including almost like exclusively intending to harm people, a lot of people. I mean, yeah, there's some alleged leftists who want to do that, but I don't like those people. Fuck them.
This is the goal of the radicalization portion of this. This is why they've for years and years and years now they've used this rhetoric that freedom's under attack. Everything is under attack. Free speech, our border, gun rights, bathrooms, church. Everything's under attack. You're under attack. You need to defend yourself. They use the rhetoric of defense to work their way towards aggression.
Yeah, like the and then at the same time they're attacking the very foundational things of what we know as freedom or whatever, and it's like that gives them over time. It just gives them permission to bypass in their minds. They just bypass any kind of rational discussion or anything. It's like, well, there's no point because yeah.
Well, and and this is sort of like I think why a lot of like Reddit atheists and YouTube atheists ended up towards the right is that it is about winning. It's about power.
Mm-hmm.
It's about I don't like those. It's whoever I don't like today is wrong. And I think a lot of people got into atheism in the early 2000s as a reaction to 9/11, which makes sense. Like I see how you get there.
Sure.
But then like when the internet is like, well, these women are awfully mouthy. Well, you're going to react the same way because that's sort of how you've taught yourself to react to things.
Yeah, I think there's two things working there. There's the reflexive, like you said, the from the new atheist side, the people that got into it as a response to 9/11, that was a fear response, and they never looked past it. And then when that threat was apparently not looming anymore, they were shackled with a faulty epistemology, which told them that personal experience is not a valid form of knowledge.
Right.
Which is why so many of them became transphobic, because trans identities and all identities really are rooted in personal experience and the validity of personal experience.
Right.
So when you have a hard stance that personal experience is never a valid source of knowledge about anything, which is what the silliest of the and most reactionary of the Reddit atheists wound up with.
Right.
And you attach that to the fear response that initiated their entry into atheism, because like I said, they didn't reason their way into it. They felt a certain way and then used motivated reasoning to get there. You link those two things together and you've got a nice stew for Richard Dawkins to suddenly declare himself a cultural Christian.
Right.
And to think trans people are like insane and coming for your kids.
Yeah.
Part of it is that I lost my train of thought. Shit.
That's okay. We'll find it.
Oh, there's this like the sort of fork in the road for a lot of new atheists was this connection that the bad aspects of these religions always come from its right. Like liberal Christians have less in common with right-wing Christians than they do left-wing Hindus. Right-wing Christians have more in common with right-wing Muslims than left-wing Christians.
Yeah.
That was, okay, well, Islam is bad, but I'm not going to connect the bad parts of Islam to the bad parts of anything else. Whereas the bad parts of Islam, the same things that are the bad parts of Islam are the bad parts in Judaism and Christianity and Hinduism and Buddhism and on and on and on. It's just like conservative religion is its own thing in a way, separate from the rest of the religion, where it's just set dressing.
Yeah, I think that conservative and reactionary religious movements are downstream of colonialism and the political structures. It's a response to like capitalism and colonialism and all the other fuckery that Western nations get into.
Mhm.
And if conditions, I mean, you've always had reactionary religious people. They've always existed, but they weren't incentivized to be as powerful and popular as they are until conditions become bad enough for people to think there's nowhere else to turn.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at the fascist movements of the early 20th century. In Germany, you had positive Christianity, and in Japan, you had imperial Buddhism, which existed sort of the same way that the evangelical Christian movement does in the United States, as a trap to just lure people. And this is a form of Christianity. You can accept this. This is a form of Buddhism, and it doesn't exist for anything other than to justify colonialism and state violence.
Yeah. So what were we talking about?
Right-wing violence.
Right-wing violence. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was gonna share this bit here. American Prospect. The political violence spilling out of red states. Red America is imposing its vision on the rest of the country through intimidation, and in some cases, even more.
Wait, was that hand grenade composed of the states of the U.S.?
The red ones?
Oh, okay.
The red states, yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
is
actually
actually
cool
a pretty
design.
clever piece of art. Yeah.
That's a yeah.
I mean, I wish it wasn't like representing something very shitty.
I do too.
I look, there's the swords doing the same thing. That's pretty cool too. I'm torn on my feelings here. But yeah, you know, it goes on to talk about Rusty Bowers. It's crazy. This whole thing. Oh my God. Do you guys remember any of this? You're reading about any of this? Hearing about it?
Rusty Bowers does not ring a bell.
Okay, let's learn. Holy shit, Morgan! What's going on there?
My camera keeps bobbing off the monitor, so I'm trying to get it somewhere where it will stay put.
If you wouldn't mind muting before you adjust it, because like whenever you grab a hold of it like that, it's really
oops,
abrasive. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Hate to.
I see. Wow. Okay. Why don't I use the actual microphone?
Hey, do that.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. In December 2020, Rusty Bowers' modest suburban home in the Phoenix suburbs became the site of a virulent MAGA protest. Bowers, the Republican Speaker of Arizona's House of Representatives, had come under intense pressure from Donald Trump and his lieutenants to call a special session of the Arizona legislature to investigate supposed fraud in the election that Trump had just lost.
Okay, I remember this now.
Yeah.
When Bowers refused Trump's entreaties, his legislative colleagues went after him on Twitter. Before long, his home address had been posted across right-wing social media networks. Trump trains of pickup trucks waving MAGA flags and blaring their horns descended on Bowers' home, where his 42-year-old daughter, Casey, was convalescing in the final stages of a battle with liver failure. Jesus Christ. An armed gunman confronted one of Bowers' neighbors. A video billboard baselessly and scurrilously accused him of being a pedophile, of course, was parked outside his home. Bowers went on to receive the nation's second highest civilian award for his defense of democracy before losing his next primary race to a challenger who claimed the devil stole the 2020 election.
Of course.
And I think that little story right there is kind of a pretty good, just encapsulates a lot of how things have gone recently.
So I want to compare and contrast here, because we've had left-wing groups protest outside of politicians' homes. The one that comes to mind is actually when anti-pipeline protests protested outside the governor's mansion in Minnesota. Not that long ago, and said governor is running as the vice presidential candidate for the Democrats right now.
Oh,
so this is a protest against someone on the left, what we consider the left, anyways, and they're disrupting his life. Right, they're protesting outside of the place they live, but it was not a 24/7 thing, and their ability, the thing they were protesting is consistent, and they didn't need it when it was real. And two, they didn't need to make up stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing we're seeing with the right is just this: they don't have the truth on their side, so they have to make shit up,
and they have to be violent.
That's
the end result of it. Is like, yeah, because if you don't have the truth on your side, and you eventually you're going to have to either, kind of just, I guess, give in, well, you got me, or you're going to have to ratchet up tactics,
right?
If your goal is to win.
And they don't have a systemic analysis of power, right?
No.
It's always about the individual pathology of bad people,
right?
And those bad people have to be extirpated from society in order to, and if that happens, everything will be fine. And this is what leads people on the right to deny that climate change is the result of human activity, while also believing that the Democrats can seed the weather and create hurricanes to wipe out their political opponents in Florida.
Right.
Look, man, if you believe that, like, why are you even trying to combat them? Like, they dominate your life. Just submit. Like if Democrats can do that, right? Like if they can, I don't know, if they can do all the stuff that they get accused of doing, if they can coordinate all this crazy shit, it's like, just give up, man, because you can't win against that. Holy shit. But they can't do that. They don't do that. That's stupid.
But notice that those two ideas are different versions of the same idea, which is that human activity causes changes in climate and weather. But one is systemic analysis of economic and environmental forces that cause this, and the other one is a belief in the metaphysical evil of your opponents.
Right. And they love them some metaphysical evil. And that's kind of an important part that religion plays in that movement, is that there is a metaphysical element, right? We see this with a lot of homophobia and transphobia, where there is a literal demonization.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a work of a literal devil or literal demons that are an outside force that is unverifiable, working to justify the violence, because it's not violence against a person, then it's violence against a demon.
Mm-hmm. And who likes demons? Nobody.
Hellboy's pretty cool.
True.
But even Hellboy doesn't like other demons. No,
but Hellboy also punches Nazis.
That's
true.
Yep. It
sort of
goes
the
on
same
to
thing.
Describe another example here with Arizona and more shenanigans with the election and whatnot, and malicious stuff and vigilantes. It's all designed to give a specific vibe, and basically just like we're gonna hurt you. There's just violence is at the core of, or if not the core, then at the the back end of all of the shit that they are doing. That they even if we say that they win the election fair and square, which I don't believe is going to happen. They might win the election. I don't believe it's going to be fair and square. But let's say they did. Let's say they just like overwhelm the vote and they win. Even then, the implication behind the way they want the U.S. to go is toward violence.
Right.
The violence of against everybody, anybody basically that is going to challenge or kind of raise a stink over systemic issues or anything. You can look at when DeSantis had to define legally the word woke in Florida a couple of years ago. I remember the initiative covered this, because we were like, holy shit, there's actually a definition for once. And the definition essentially said, anybody that if you think that there's some kind of systemic problems with the United States, that is woke, and that's what we want to ban.
And noted that definition is set by the guy in charge of the system.
Right. Yeah, of course. It's very convenient.
That's really convenient.
It's like, okay, you just came out and said it at least. You're saying, look, we just don't want people to fucking have any power. Period. You know, not even power to say something. Hey, that's kind of messed up. Nope, that's illegal. That's banned.
Well, it's interesting in Florida how they have a system to amend their constitution. We saw this with their to change their constitution to allow felons to vote, but the Congress has to implement that, and the governor has to sign off on that, and so it creates this thing where the government that keeps getting elected into power keeps overriding the will of the people, but then still gets elected into power because of things like gerrymandering, where even the tools that exist to bypass a blockage in the government has been blocked by the system.
Well, there was a story
can't talk about that because it's systemic.
Yeah, there was a story last year or maybe earlier this year in Florida about how several felons who had served their sentence and were now free people had received letters telling them about this change in Florida law, that their voting rights had been restored. And then when they went to vote, they got arrested for voter fraud.
Yep.
And now they're back in prison, or in some cases.
Same thing happened to a woman in Texas.
Yeah, and the scandal was that Ron DeSantis, I'm sure he personally knew about this, but his office anyway knew that wasn't true when they sent those letters. You know, when they sent the letters to these people telling them their voting rights have been restored, they knew that wasn't true, and the process had not actually gone through. So they basically targeted a bunch of, brown people and poor people to get them off of the voter,
So what happened is Ron DeSantis's office committed voter fraud.
Yes. More or less.
And 4 people went to jail for his crime.
Yes.
So like this specifically being about election stuff is going to be relevant pretty quick. We're going to be seeing, just expect to see it. There's going to be incidents that hopefully they don't get too out of hand or anything, but there's no way there's not going to be at least a couple of incidents that pop up around all polling stations. It's going to be something, and hopefully it is not bad. I don't have good feelings about it.
I think especially if you're in a purple state or in a blue district in a red state, try to vote early, try to vote by mail. Because
try to vote with numbers, like as in like bring a posse with you, I guess.
Bring people with you. You do whatever you can, because there is going to be acts of violence at polling places with the intention to close the polling place so that people can't vote.
Or at least with that, and also probably to be helpful for them if they could then cast doubt on the legitimacy of that polling place because it's been closed or it's had this stuff happen at it.
Like they said I think on SNL this past weekend, or maybe last weekend, it's 30 more days until none of this is close to being over.
Right.
Or 30 more days until all of this is far from over.
Right.
Okay, look, JD Vance, as we all know, has become a voice of reason among all this shit. And he did an interview the other day where it was specifically about the elections and how he views 2020. And I don't think he could be more clear. And I'm really glad that he's just coming out and getting in front of this.
I want to end with this. In interview after interview, question after question, and in the debate, you refuse to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. So I'm just going to assume that if I ask you 50 times whether he lost the election, you would not acknowledge that he did. Is that correct?
Martha, you asked this question. I've been asked this question 10 times in the past couple of weeks. Of course, Donald Trump and I believe there were problems in 2020. You haven't asked about inflation.
No, I'm sorry. Let's stick to this.
People,
I know.
American people want us to talk about how to make their lives better. They don't want us to.
Why won't you say that?
Because.
Can you pause this?
Because.
You're blown away by how direct he is. I get it. Yeah.
You know what they don't do? talk about how they're going to make the lives better for Americans. They talk about how they're going to make lives worse for people who aren't American.
Yeah, or the wrong kind of American.
Right. And when I say American, I mean the right kind of American, because their definition of American is a straight, white, Protestant Christian male. And that's it.
Yep. Even though, as we learned last week, nobody wants to even see movies starring a straight white male anymore.
Well, yeah, that's, who wants to see that?
Joker 2. It bombed pretty hard.
As Turf would say, give me them titties.
Jiggle for me.
Jiggle for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Turf knows what's up.
Well, look, he's just warming up, Vance. He's just getting to where he's going to answer the question. So
I'm sure
Martha, I believe that in 2020, when big tech firms were censoring American citizens, that created very serious problems. And by the way, Martha, you're a journalist. You represent the American.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to talk about this claim, this exact claim that he has repeated now a few times elsewhere and here now. Because the federal government did work with big tech in 2020 to remove posts and censor information. Who was president in 2020? Who was running the Department of Justice in 2020?
This is Biden? No,
Bad
Obama.
news. Neither of those. No, the guy in between those.
Oh, Biden, Obama?
God. It was Donald Trump. So he is trying to blame his running mate's administration. Well, what he is doing is blaming his running mate's administration, but saying it is the Democrats' fault somehow, despite it being.
Yeah. They really know how to manipulate the goldfish brain of their.
They really do.
Their voters. Look, he doesn't answer the question. I hate to spoil it for you, but like, I have this other clip that I think is way more relevant.
Statistic. Our numbers good, their numbers bad. Well, I'm a real cum harvesting machine.
Okay.
I'm gonna put my coffee down. I'm just gonna
thanks, Vance. There. Thanks, JD. He's really bringing it home. All right. So that was not the only I had. So I just searched MAGA violence. Okay, like this is probably the most specific topic that I've decided we should do a FAPcast on that I did like almost no preparation for because I was that confident that I could just type in MAGA violence and we would have a show to talk about. Hate to show you how the sausage is made, but there it is, at least in this case. So there's that one article that's from a few days ago. There's another article from a few days ago that says Trump and his supporters are now reveling in blatantly fascist calls to violence. Yeah. Retribution. Hell yeah. Sounds fun. Last week.
I love the idea of retribution from the American right, because like against who for what? Because you, as Donald Trump, as an alleged billionaire, backed by billionaires, including the richest man in America, you have all the money and power. If something is wrong, it is your fault.
Let's be real. He doesn't have all the money. He might have never had very much money as far as what he claimed. Like when you look at how he used to present, like the stuff he got taken to court for in his real estate listings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If you kind of extrapolate from that he more or less did the same kind of thing when it came to his value for a long time. He probably never was really close to as rich as he got people to think he was. But yeah.
Continue.
So last week in Erie, Pennsylvania, Trump, who has long fetishized what he sees as strongman behavior and language, took another leaf out of the Duterte and Bolsonaro playbooks. Specifically, he aped both authoritarians in their approach to crime and punishment. Throughout his awful tenure, Rodrigo Duterte, former president of the Philippines, gloried in the extrajudicial killing of drug dealers, users, and other criminals. Similarly, what's this? Bolsonaro, the far-right ex-president of Brazil, pushed for the police who killed 22,000 people in a 5-year spree Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Including 6,357 in 2019 alone, to gun down criminals like cockroaches. That's not even how you kill a cockroach, man.
I mean, you could, but it's
sure
overkill.
So definitely going to cause more damage than it's worth. So yeah, Trump and Erie called for shoplifters to face one really violent day and one rough hour at the hands of police, arguing that it was Democratic policy to coddle offenders and that taking gloves off, like, this is just such a failure in understanding and how
why shoplifting happens.
Yeah, and also just like how that if you have Democrats in office in some state or something, that doesn't mean that the police in that area are going to be treating people with kid gloves. That's not how it works. Like, they're not just like, oh, we got a Democrat in office now, we got to be nicer.
I mean, quite the opposite in a lot of areas, especially in blue states like New York, where like you get a lot of shitty right-wing mayors who get up to shitty things, and we see this going on right now.
Yeah.
And the police basically are a right-wing mob that will just shoot into crowds. There was a story a few weeks ago about someone hopped the turnstile for the subway, and the cops fired into the crowd to stop the guy over a train ticket. And they hit several bystanders and another cop.
Oh,
and not the guy who hopped the fare.
Well, no, that would mean they were like somewhat effective at what they were trying to do, even if it was stupid. But you know, it's just he's been doing this. He's been amping it up. He's been saying violent shit since day one, basically. You remember back in 2015, 16 when he was doing rallies and saying,
yeah,
you know, oh, we got to get this guy out of here, rough him up, you know, telling the cops to rough this guy up because he was protesting in the rally.
And you look at all of the police unions and police lobbying groups that have backed Trump, and these are supposed to be our you know, an arm of our judicial branch, a institution nominally dedicated to law and order, that is backing a felon. A felon right. who has called for violence against police, and who a mob acting in his name hurt police at the Capitol.
Yeah. I mean, yep.
So the question is, why don't the cops care about that?
Because the cops are a gang in a very 19th century sort of way, and they back a political machine that gives them unrestricted access to the ability to do violence to people they don't like.
Yes. The police, the job of the police is to protect private property, not citizens.
Correct.
There's been multiple Supreme Court decisions saying that the police have no legal duty to protect any person.
Right.
Yeah.
So why are they there? That just begs the question.
Well, here's like, you gotta look at why they were here historically, and that really starts to kind of, because they did used to deal with people. You know, there was whenever people who were property, and then you look at this type of clip right here, and you kind of start to put these together. And
did more for the black community than anybody, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. Whether you like it or not, people say, "Oh, that's
you really you believe you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil Rights Act?"
I think I did, yeah.
How?
Because I got criminal justice reform done. I got prison reform. Lyndon Johnson. I've done things.
He passed the Civil Rights Act.
How has it worked out? If you take a look at what Lyndon Johnson did.
You think the Civil Rights Act was a mistake?
How has it worked out? Because frankly, it took a long time. But for African Americans,
but you think that was a mistake?
Administration, Jonathan.
You know.
Yeah. In another clip recently, he said that people will obviously prefer the white president over the black president.
Well, I have that clip too. Because he's definitely appealing to the white nationalism vote right now.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got $1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
Well, Well, where is the white guy? Because you are not that, sir.
Motherfucker is orange as a rotten tangerine.
got off the price of what?
I don't even know. Man. It's probably
what's
not
the I'm trying to read what the group is. Something, is it Black Conservative Federation?
Yes, that's what it says. The Black Conservative Federation.
I want to look up this group. Black Conservative Federation.
It's just one guy. It's that guy that's always behind him.
Yeah, it's that one guy.
That one Blacks for Trump guy.
All right. I wonder.
Also, though,
like trying to squeeze out as much cum as possible.
Thanks, JD.
Right.
Yeah, they're just another think tank.
So another fact to keep in mind in the context of all of this is, he's talking about street crime and shoplifting. The crime rate in this country has been dropping
steadily.
Like there was a slight spike during COVID because people were locked up and we saw increases in murder and domestic violence.
Right.
But the trend line overall for like 40 years has been down. We have lower crime rates now than we've ever had since we started measuring crime rates, at least the last time I checked.
I could show you exactly why certain people think that there's more crime and why they think that Black people are responsible for all of it. And that's because there are these accounts on Twitter and such. They've been there since before Elon's era, that just are dedicated to people send them, it's basically the libs of TikTok, except for, Black dudes doing something illegal, or getting in fights or something. And it's like people send them this shit. And then they just like, look at this, and they post that shit all day long. And then the same, fucking dipshit white dudes who have no experience with anything outside their immediate vicinity just see a Black guy doing an illegal thing and go, oh, look at this. It's all over the place. It's everywhere. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but what about the white people that get caught on video at a far higher rate? What about the fact that this is taken out of context and that if you, it's just,
yeah. Well, and on top of that, you have local news stations always reporting on local crime, even if it's like the only murder that's happened in that town for like 20 years. They will sensationalize it like it is like an apocalyptic event. And then it gets boosted to a national news story because all of these local affiliates are owned by, or most of them are owned by the same company, the Sinclair Group.
Yeah.
And that's how you get stories like the claim that an apartment building in Colorado, I want to say, was taken over by a Mexican drug gang or something.
Venezuelan gang,
even though the mayor of the town and the sheriff and the chief of police all came out publicly and said, no, that is not true. And the people who actually live in that building held a press conference and said, no, the problem here is the landlord.
Right. Because
there
it's
is
always
no
the
Venezuelan
landlord.
gang running this building. And it turns out that it was the landlord who fabricated this story. But the story that the landlord fabricated is the one that gets boosted nationwide.
Right.
Because people want it gets people to click on their video on YouTube or watch their show. It boosts the ratings. It doesn't matter if it's true.
No, not at all. Well, yeah, they want to do some violent shit. I mean, it's pretty clear.
They're assholes that way. There's not really a better word for it.
Not really.
They have an apocalyptic analysis of politics. Because every problem in their lens is about the individual pathology of bad people. You have to eliminate the bad people, and the solution is an individual who has the power to do it, rather than a change in the system of government or something like that.
Right.
Yep.
And it also ignores where the vast majority of crimes happen in this country, which is financial crimes.
Yep. Wage theft is the biggest form of theft in the country.
Yep.
And it is the least prosecuted.
Funny that. Funny that.
I'm trying to find, here we go. Just a clip that I'd come across at some point. I'll save that for later. But what else do we want to talk about here? Any other conservative cringe?
I was talking about one from the Showville in Wisconsin. A Marquette poll have been trending in a way that our white Democratic incumbent senator Tammy Baldwin will win against her carpetbagger opponent Eric Hovde, but that Kamala will lose to Trump. And this sort of goes to what we were just talking about in the last clip about, like, do you want a white president or a black president? People will split the ticket to not vote for a black person.
Right. That is extremely rare, though, on a nationwide scale.
It is very common in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and maybe so. I don't know Wisconsin politics, but I do know that historically split tickets almost never happen. And this may tie into like problems with polling and the way that polling is reported in the US, because a lot of polling aggregators do not have any quality control, and they will weigh like a poll run by conservative teenagers, which is what Patriot polling is. They'll weigh those polls by people who have no idea what they're doing, as equal to, like the New York Times Siena poll or something like that.
Yeah, there was like a big kind of report that came out like last year or something. I remember that kind of looked at a lot of the polls, the more traditional polls that are done, and how they just by and large favor right wingers in general. If you're talking about ones that still use landlines to poll people, of course you're going to get a bunch of old people who are right wingers.
Well, and just even the ones that do call cell phones in the age of telemarketing, unrestricted telemarketing, who answers your cell phone? I'll call you back. Leave me, if you're a real person, leave me a voicemail. I'll call you back.
And a lot of these polling aggregators don't include like early voting numbers or new voter registration numbers as part of their model. So the polls end up being skewed, and the media is invested in having a horse race narrative.
Right.
So they want the race to be as close as possible so they can, generate content about it.
Right. This also gets back to the news about violent crime, right? Is that the trend of violent crime has been down over 40 years, but the perception of violent crime has gone up. And part of that is polling on violent crime, is because if your local news tells you, there was a murder, right? So you think violent crime is up because that's just how human brains work. And then polls say violent crime is up, which reinforces the opinion that violent crime is up because you just saw a poll that said violent crime was up, but you left out the part that the poll says violent crime. People think violent crime is up when that's just their perception.
Yeah. So a better. Sorry, go ahead, Dane.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say a better early measure of the way that an election is going to go is to look at which party is sending in the most mail-in votes early, and which party is registering the largest number of new voters, because most new voters vote.
Oh no. Which one is doing that?
All of that is trending in Kamala's favor.
Oh, thank Christ.
Even in Florida, like I read a report yesterday on how Florida early voting, the Democrats for the first time outnumber Republicans.
Awesome.
By, I forget which margin, but it was quite a large margin. Now that could change, obviously. It's still too early to tell. But all the indicators are that Kamala is going to do really well on election day. But that may not matter.
Right.
Which is the whole point here of this stream. Because if she wins legitimately, if she wins, which will be a legitimate win, it will be violently opposed
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not just legally opposed, it will be violently opposed. And if she loses, there will still be violence because
that's the thing. Yes, I've been saying for a while
people
now.
will be
There's gonna
protesting Trump,
and they will celebrate using violence because to them a win would be, oh, now we get to be violent. Like that. There's no matter what, the right will be violent. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, because there will be people protesting Trump, and then Trump will send the jackbooted thugs out to shoot them, like he wanted to do during the BLM riots and the BLM protests. Excuse me, some of which were riots, but not most of them were not.
Most of them were not.
And the military and the police were like, "No, buddy, we're not going to do that."
Right, that's not our job because it turns out, in terms of the military, it is against the law to deploy the military against United States citizens. Now, not that these people cared about the law. Very clearly, they've nominated a felon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and his Project 2025. The plan is to on day one fire up, I think, like 50,000 people at all levels of the military and the government and the civil service, and replace them with Trump loyalists.
Right. Which they've been recruiting for actively.
Yeah. So if Kamala wins, we're not out of the woods yet.
Right.
Just be prepared and be, take precautions to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Well, I want to show you what Trump's vision for America is here. Just so you get an idea. I think it's pretty clear.
America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now.
So we could give you hundreds of clips like that.
Wow.
What if I don't want hundreds of clips like that? Because that was traumatizing.
I wonder what the original clip was. What was he actually showing people?
Yeah,
probably something stupid. It was definitely something that was meant to be propaganda, and meant to paint something as a bigger problem than it probably really was. But yeah, now that clip of the guy, the old guy in his underwear going, "Holy shit!" That's actually from a refinery explosion.
Oh fuck!
That happened in right next to my hometown in Texas. Funny thing about that. It happened because it's Texas, and because Texas is very, very lax on regulations on like when they should, update and repair old shit, and and just how generally the regulations are done. So refineries can just blow up, and that happens. Same way that the power grid can fail, things like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what Republicans do, governance wise. That's their main priority was letting shit like that happen.
Well, when you deregulate, you get to do two things. You get to make insurance costs cheap. You get to make costs cheaper for businesses, and you get to make profits better for insurance companies who don't have to pay out claims.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this real absolutely, man. Like I live in Portland, and I'm still fucking literally living just in a pile of ashes right now. It's crazy. Like they burned it down. Sorry.
And the other thing deregulation does is allows Republicans to break the government on purpose once they get in power. Their goal is to get in power and then break the government. And then when people notice that the government is broken, Republicans can point at it and go, look, government doesn't work.
Right.
Look what the Democrats did to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pay no attention.
That's what's been going on since Reagan was president. The systematic dismantling of the social safety net and the regulatory state has led to the situation we have in Florida right now, where they just got wiped out by one of the largest storms in history, and there is nothing to help them except for a very truncated and deregulated and defunded FEMA, which is down there trying to help, and now has JD Vance and Trump claiming that they're not helping. They're going on national TV and saying FEMA is not helping and that they are, in fact, there to interfere with relief efforts by mysterious other people. So there's been stories coming out of Florida now of FEMA and other first responders showing up to these isolated rural areas to try and help people and being physically resisted because those people have been told that FEMA is coming to harm them rather than help them.
So more violence. Cool.
There was a story in the Washington Post today that right-wing militias are harassing FEMA workers.
Yeah.
Cool. Philip, I mean, no, it doesn't say that in the text, but it's implied as the next kind of the environment that will be created will be that, sure.
They're not going to be picky because they're going to send the cop. Think about it this way, right? The tool they are going to use to enforce migrations or what have you is going to be the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not the purge. That's the wrong analogy. It's crystal knocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, crystal knocked followed by trail of tears type shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be with killing and murdering, but it will be state sanctioned and done by men in uniforms.
Yeah, it's going to be generally a good time for everybody.
I think the opposite of that.
I don't know why. I'm just like coping. I don't know. And I'm also tired.
Fair.
Let's see. Well, look. Okay, maybe if we just understood what it is that these people are against. So we know they're against wokeness. Let's finish this clip. See if this guy can get it out.
Certain religions, cultures, races, etc.
But you were going to give me an example of something that had happened in America.
Yeah, so that's happened. No, I won't bring that up. I think.
Well, why not? Why don't you bring that up?
Because I think most of your listeners know what I'm referring to.
I have not got a clue.
Okay.
So tell us. Just keep an eye on the tape, the emergency tape that kicks in when we have periods of silence that go over us. So just tell us. Everybody already knows, Carl. So just tell us what it is you object to having courses on when you worked at a local authority.
Well, I just think it's really insincere.
Yeah, but we can't really know what that means until you tell us what it was, can you? So what was it, mate?
Things I'm a bit scared to go down the rabbit hole.
Just to be clear, you didn't.
Me up and accuse
just to be clear, you didn't ring in. You didn't ring in by accident, did you?
No, of course not.
No. So you rang in to answer a question about what I am anti-woke. You said. What does that mean? And you said here are some examples, and I said just name one.
And you said, what does it mean to you? So what does it mean to me?
Yeah.
It means to me people that actively seek offence where it doesn't exist.
Yeah, so what were the courses?
Well, various courses.
Yeah,
so
just give me one example then.
Well, preventing staff progression. People...
What do you think that means?
Well, just stop them progressing in their career.
So they were teaching you how to stop progressing in your career?
Not me, personally.
I suspect you didn't need any lessons.
No, I didn't. I went to work. Yeah. I didn't go into work.
So what were you taught?
Behave and be nice.
Oh, so these were courses encouraging people to behave and be nice that you object to. That's what you mean by woke. That's what all my other callers have already said.
I think we learn this when we grow up.
Well, some of us do.
I grew up in London.
Well, you're very lucky. You're already very nice and well behaved. What about people who aren't? Surely they'd benefit from these courses, Carl.
Well, they are the ones that should be marginalised. But why do people look?
You want to marginalise people now? Isn't that woke? You want to marginalise people who aren't very nice? That's what everyone else has told me is woke.
No, I want the people that are nasty and horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, marginalise them. Get rid of them.
But that's woke, though. That's what woke means. You're pro-woke, mate. You're not anti-woke.
Your council tax shouldn't pay to send me on a day course.
Well, you need to tell me what the course was. What's the course?
Pay for your bins to be collected.
On the contrary, I want local authorities to be run in a way that is forward-thinking and progressive. And if some people, not you, because you don't need these courses, but if some people are holding back the rest of the organisation, then I think giving them some training is a wonderful idea. Go on, just tell everyone the thing that they already know that you're talking about, but you're not prepared to say out loud. Because otherwise people might think you're a bit woke. You're frightened of causing offence, are you? Isn't that what woke means?
I have been cowed into silence by your lot.
No, mate, you have tied yourself in knots single-handedly.
Cowed into silence. You know who you are. It's your curtain twitchers. It's your ones that look out of their window and look for a fence where it doesn't exist.
At what point in this conversation do you think you lost the plot
you on
completely?
Nextdoor.com, James?
Yeah. Curtain twitchers. Never heard that before.
Give it up for British Sam Cedar over here.
Right. Well, I mean, apparently, though, ugh, because he's just a liberal spokesman. Well, I mean, what would you prefer? We check out some fascist spokesmen? I mean, we've been listening, I mean, we can listen to more JD Vance. Fine.
I'm a little guy. Thank you for this. I've got to bounce, man. Bounce. Well.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards. Classic. Oh man.
But that was a classic illustration of the fact that this is all this anti-woke stuff is based on feels.
Right.
And most of the people who identify as anti-woke cannot explain logically or rationally what it is they're actually against.
That was until we got to get to our next subject, I think, who is speaking of writers who don't use subtext. Let's talk about Will Jordan.
Yeah. a rare treat on this show, because normally I don't want to talk about this guy because I just don't care. But he had a Star Wars thing to say, and I fucking know Star Wars. He fucking doesn't. And he proved it that he doesn't know Star Wars. And I want to laugh at him with all of you.
Where's that Star Wars thing at?
On his Twitter.
Oh, okay. I'll go to that.
I think I linked it in the Discord.
Oh, that would be me paying attention and doing something that makes sense ahead of time.
Yeah, it's right above your post from his Discord when he was saying that actress wasn't sexy because she has the wrong skin color.
Right.
But he's not racist.
That's not what he said. He didn't say anything about her skin color. He didn't say anything about skin color there. You're lying about him now, you know?
Well, okay. He posted a bunch of women in dresses, white women in dresses, and like made up for like the runway or like the red carpet at a premiere or something.
We're gonna get to that. That's my post.
All right, you do that one. All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to find yours though.
It's right above the one you posted.
Oh, in the Discord. My bad.
In the Discord, I will bonk you.
Oh,
fill us in while Dane is looking it up. Is it the trans stormtrooper thing? Okay.
Yes. So there is a new Star Wars book out, which is the Secrets of the Clone Troopers, which is an in-universe book written about the lives of various clone troopers by one of the clone troopers. And there's a couple pages dedicated to a clone trooper named Sister, who is trans. And she was given the name Sister by her brothers to say that you are part of the family.
Yeah.
Because she is. And she's a character that's been around for a couple of years. I want to say she debuted in a book in 2022. And now Will Jordan and the rest of the Yahoos are losing their mind in a way that kind of reminds me of our coverage of Transformers when they got mad about the non-binary robot. Like a year after the character debuted, when they finally needed something to be upset about.
Wait, so this is not a new character?
No. This character, I will get the let me go to Wikipedia and get the actual publication of date of that book.
Drinker's been egregiously stupid and obviously grifting lately. Like he's done, posted about how the character kind of character customization screens in RPGs are pretty stupid,
Yeah, who needs character customization in an RPG? I'm just like I just want to go grab Gary Gygax's like coffin or urn or wherever his remains are stored and beat him with them. Just like, you don't understand role-playing games.
And it's just like, yeah, I mean, dude, there's so many character creation things that I've done that I never even played the game because all I really wanted to do was create a character.
Yeah.
It's like the most of the fun to me.
Yeah, me too. That's like, I don't play video games, but I do play a lot of tabletop role-playing games. And my D&D Beyond account is full of characters I built that I'm never going to play. I just love the process of creating a character.
Yeah.
It's great for if you're a writer. Of course, Will Jordan wouldn't know this.
Well,
if you're a writer and you want to create like some really unique characters with a lot of detail and stuff, you could use a character creation screen like Phil, or whatever. And if it's the right one, or just player sheets or whatever,
right?
It's a great way to do it.
There's a website I use called Hero Forge. Lets you build a mini for a character for a role.
Yeah, I do that too.
I literally was in here today.
By the way, everyone, Will Jordan, the Critical Drinkers novels are available in audiobook form for free on Hoopla Digital, for which you only need a library card.
Oh,
and I encourage all of you to go listen to them because I'll just say this. No, it's somebody else. But I'll just say this. They are spy thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, you can't tell how many pages it is on audiobook, but I looked it up. The first book in the series is like over 500 pages long.
Fucking what?
For a spy thriller. So already you've taken an L before you even open the book.
Yeah.
Because that's way too long for a spy thriller.
As I call that genre, it's airport bookstore dad bait.
Yeah. Some of which is fun to read.
Yeah.
Sure. That's where the TV show Reacher comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot of fun. But if you've written a 500-page book that's a spy thriller, you've already failed as a writer.
Mm-hmm. So I want to point out here that he's talking about so he's essentially saying that because they are a military under an empire, that of course the clone troopers weren't really under the empire as much as they were under the Republic.
Right. The empire retired the clones because they were too tolerant and compassionate and inclusive.
They're not, because they literally weren't just killing machines, except for that whole Order 66 thing notwithstanding.
Right. It seems like there was a whole Star Wars movie about this, wasn't there?
Yeah. There's a Star Wars movie. There's 2.5 TV shows, because we have Clone Wars, which is about the clone troopers. And in the pilot of that show, Yoda talks about how all the clones have their own identities. Yeah. And they're all their own individuals with their own wants and desires.
Because that's what would happen. A clone is not literally just a carbon copy person forever. It's like they come from the exact same thing. They start out the exact same thing, but the experiences change people.
Right.
Bad Batch. Fuck yeah. Love Bad
and then Bad Batch. And then we get several arcs in Rebels about the Clone Wars, about clone troopers after the fact. It's like this has been explored, and we know that they are not mindless, obedient killing machines.
And also, though, on top of this, if I may, Morgan,
you may.
It is a misunderstanding, imagine that, of why we affirm trans people, to say that it's just because we're being tolerant and just to be, kind or whatever. It's like, I mean, yeah, it's that, but it's also just because if you have a trans person in a military scenario, you're going to want to affirm their transness, because that makes them, they're going to be more likely to, they're going to be able to fucking hold their own instead of being concerned about, dysphoria or whatever. And like, that's why we do it in our military now. That's why we don't fucking, tell them, no, you're not actually fucking woman or whatever.
Well, Trump wants to bring that back to get them out of the military again. I mean,
bigotry undermines mission readiness.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
That's what the modern military understands, that a person who is being affirmed as their true self is a more effective soldier.
Well, and
also not worried about bullying from their fellow soldiers.
And that a diverse unit, a diverse military gives you diverse viewpoints and tactics and strategies, and is less likely to fall into cult-like behavior and do some SS shit.
Yeah, and you get the rhetorical victory of being able to laugh at your enemies when they get beat up by a bunch of sissies.
Yeah, Crawling Chaos. I don't hate you at all for pointing out that Camino and Cloner was wrong.
Yeah.
About their clones. I mean, or they were lying, They're trying to sell clones.
They're in the business of selling slaves.
Yeah, of course they're going to say, yeah, that's just whatever fucking tell you. No question. Yeah, sure.
Just because a character says something, that doesn't mean it is true within the universe. Characters don't always tell the truth about themselves and the experience they're having.
And people in groups of people, scientists who sell like living people as like a trade, I wouldn't really trust them generally anyway.
Also, they had a part installed in them to make them totally obedient.
Oh yeah.
A part that can be removed, and they function like healthy human beings without it, as though it does not belong there because it was there for sinister purposes.
Which I think is what Django points out. He wanted of Boba, right?
Right. Wanted it unmodified.
Yeah. That's how you end up with Boba.
Boba the Fett.
Boba the Fett. He's the Daimo or whatever now. Anyway, there's that.
A show they will never follow up on.
No. I enjoyed it, man. I thought that was pretty fun.
I liked Boba.
Well, half of it was like Mandalorian season 3.5.
So was that? I mean, like people would say that as if that's a bad thing, and I'm just like, why is that bad? I don't care.
Because I didn't like Mandalorian season 2. It was a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing in and of itself, but the show is called Boba Fett.
Right, and we had 2 episodes that had nothing to do with Boba Fett.
Yeah,
like
I didn't think the Boba Fett show was interesting, personally. I
don't think you're interesting person.
I loved it.
Your mom's not interesting.
That's true. She's not. She's dead. So I wouldn't.
I was waiting for that. I knew that was coming as soon as I heard that your mom, like, Dane's gonna hit him with the she's dead. I saw that.
You're very interesting. You're very interesting.
But the fact that I found the non-Boba Fett character stories more interesting, to my mind, points to the weakness of the show itself, which they should have told a stronger story about Boba Fett rather than using his show as a vehicle for the next season of The Mandalorian.
Look, I will say that's a bit reductive. I see what you're saying. That is part of a couple of episodes are definitely what you described. But there's also a through line about what he went through in order to become like a better person and not just like a fucking one-note villain. And like what I was hoping what they could do with it, and it seemed like they might have started trying to do, but then I don't know, is you don't have to make Boba the most interesting character. You just have to build a lot of characters around him and have him as the Daimo of this region or whatever. And then you can have like just he's the center of a Deep Space Nine type of show where you have like all these different interactions of people going on that are more interesting than the guy at the center. That would be cool.
I would say, he's not the most interesting character in his own show, but all of the characters around him are very interesting, and I would like to know more about them.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting part was the when he was with the indigenous tribe, or I don't know if we call them indigenous, but with the Tusken Raiders and exploring their culture. If they made the whole show about that, I would have been fascinated.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's just my personal quirk.
Well, that's totally fair. Like there is no, you don't have to like it. I think for me, I think it was interesting to see like how he treated characters or types of characters we've seen in Star Wars that are abused.
Yeah.
Because he understood the abuse. Like we saw how he treated the Wookiee's name is escaping me, but the Wookiee.
The one that it's literally created by the what's her name that they hate.
Yeah.
That show they're always hating on.
How he treated the mods, how he treated the Gamorreans, because like not just in Return of the Jedi do we see Gamorreans get literally dumpstered, but that's just become a recurring thing in Star Wars is Gamorreans exist to be dumb and to get killed. And he treats them like people to the point where they die, you feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were bros.
I mean, nothing will beat this moment though, right here.
On a flying thing.
Uncle Gumball calls out something that I would like to highlight. Ming-Na Wen's casting in the show is inspired because she's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the show was worse than the sum of its parts, but I like a lot of those parts.
The Crawling Chaos, I didn't think you were trying to start a fight, man. I was literally just responding to the words you used, which were "hate me if you must," is what I was responding to my tenor, but I wasn't taking it too seriously. So
I don't hate you, bro. I don't even hate Will Jordan, even though I want to hit him with Gary Gygax's remains.
Oh, so that wasn't Deadpool. That was that's the theme from what you call it, Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, yeah.
Okay.
Because those shows were coming out at the same time, and I was just like, I couldn't help but notice. It's like, what? I wonder how that would, if I took this and added it to that. Yep. Okay. That's funny. Yep. Worth getting a copyright claim for. And then deleting it from the stream.
It's a pretty fun clip.
So I will point out that I think the Critical Drinker's dumb take on this is a reflection of a deeper philosophical belief he may hold, which would be biological essentialism.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
He thinks that clones, because they're all genetically identical, would all turn out exactly the same because genes are destiny. And I bet he probably objects to the whole concept of like the Bad Batch in the first place. He probably, in his ideal Star Wars universe, wants to have slaves who are mindlessly obedient. And that's what he actually objects to, is that they're taking that away from him.
I think this is something we've touched on talking about the response to Rings of Power, which is why I wanted to bring it up on this show. Is that their appeals to fandom are secondary to their bigotries. These people aren't fans first. They are anti-fans who use the language of fandom to spread bigotry.
That's it. And if you're taking anything they say as like, oh wait, but what that doesn't make any sense, it's inconsistent, you're already kind of doing it wrong.
Right. You're conceding the ground to them. He is wrong because he does not know Star Wars. He pretends to know Star Wars because he wants to be a bigot.
Example, as far as not about Star Wars necessarily, but I mean, example is to his disingenuous nature, and this is with every bit of content he makes. Essentially, you look at the Pillar of Garbage video about his Glass Onion review and how disingenuous that, like, just straight up lying to you, in how he describes how the movie plays out, as well as our video, the Initiatives video we did on him. It's really 3 videos on my channel, 1 video on Turf's channel, where we pointed out several ways that he uses.
Doesn't he come up in the Mary Sue video too?
I think maybe
because someone is going on about Mary Sue, and I think that's him. I think you clipped that in.
No, that's Mahler.
That's Mahler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Drinker's not really known as well for saying Mary Sue. I'm sure he has, but like Mahler's definitely known for calling Ray a Mary Sue. That's kind of one of his things. But nonetheless, here is another post from Drinker today where he says, I'm sure he didn't make this image, maybe, but he still shared it. And he says, nobody in their right mind is going to pick Zendaya out of this list. So which will be your wife? Can choose only one. And then,
none of them.
So like, the first thing that stands out obviously is that she's the only one that, at least as far as she's the only one that's not just white. Although I guess what's her name, Monica Bellucci's technically she's kind of, I guess, more, I don't know, whatever Italian is, I guess.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, that. But nonetheless, yeah, as far as like white passing, Zendaya is not that.
And I think the first thing after that, I guess the second thing then, is that she's in a still suit, isn't she? Because that's from Dune.
Yeah. So as I said on my post, that's Bob's post. We won't look at Bob's post. The image has a Zendaya from a film where her femininity is intentionally not the focus, while every other example is an actress in sexy lady attire and makeup, etc. And then I posted 4 images of Zendaya, more, appropriate to the rest of the images that were shared there. and
yeah, so unattractive.
Right, just hideous, gross.
Just not at all. I'm not drooling. You're drooling.
But she's brown, Dane. Don't you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
And I will say, even in the still suit, she still looks beautiful because she is a beautiful woman. You could.
That's why they call it. That's why they call it a still suit. She still looks hot.
I mean, you could put any of these women in like a potato sack, and they would look great, just because they're almost like supernaturally attractive people.
Right.
Yep. I mean, if I was Steven Tyler from Aerosmith and could bang any woman in the world, I'd bang Liv Tyler for sure.
Ooh, gross.
It's a. You ever seen the Clerks cartoon? The 6-episode Clerks cartoon animated series. It's a joke.
Played, Clerks.
Yes, yeah. Leonardo.
My favorite. The only reason I really remember that show is because I think it had the most brilliant opening to a first episode I've ever seen. Which was on episode 1, they said previously on Clerks, and then they went, boop, and showed you the dead air symbol.
The second episode was a clip show, was a fucking flashback episode.
Yeah, and at the end of the first episode, they said next time on Clerks, and they went boop and showed the dead air.
Why are we walking like this? It's cold, hot cold. You already made that Star Wars reference. Hold on, I'll be right back, gentle people.
Is it safe?
I remember that. Now okay.
That show was actually pretty damn clever all around.
Yeah.
I wish it had continued.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look it up and see if it's available to watch anywhere.
I know my friend has the DVDs because he showed me.
There was also there was a racist joke in it too, like a joke that I found hilarious at the time, but in retrospect, it's kind of racist. And but it stuck out to me because at the time I thought it was hilarious, and it was a joke where, like, some primitive tribe is trying to kill the rain. And the villain Leonardo says like, it's called rain, fine, try and kill it. Which in my unreflective and unreconstructed 90s white boy self found that hilarious.
Is it safe? Yeah. Like, dude, the episode 4 though, episode fucking 4 of that 6 episodes show is one of the greatest, most hilarious things ever. That's the one where he goes to court and like, god damn that episode. Oh my god, I wonder if we could get away with watching some of that.
I don't even remember that episode. I just remember like lines from the show.
Yeah,
like,
no,
well played, Clerks. Well played.
I from that show, anytime I've gotten something from IKEA, whenever I put it together, I'm like, I got it from IKEA, and I got all of these pieces left because he put together his desk, and it's just like a big piece of shit with a bunch of pieces left over. The court case one, yeah. Oh my god. The suddenly the text comes up on the screen toward the end of the episode. It's like, the animators were not able to finish this show in time, so we sent it off to the Korean animation studio. And then it's like, it's got this big mouse character that's like,
right, I remember this now.
Everybody work. And then Tom Cruise, like all these Korean animators are like slaves and stuff, and Tom Cruise shows up and he's like, show me the money. And they're like, Tom Cruise, and he rescues them, and they get into a transformer car that transforms into a car, and then whenever the car gets where it's going and it transforms back into a robot, blood just squirts out of everywhere because there were people in there.
Right.
And, it's fucking crazy.
What's funny is that a lot of the 80s cartoons, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and stuff outsourced to Korean studios.
Mm-hmm.
But those studios had the better animators.
Yeah. I gotta write that one in my dream journal. They gave us $4 for lunch today.
I'm glad this 6-episode show that I thought faded into obscurity is so well known that
it's like, and anybody that saw the damn thing recognizes the power of it, and just like is like, how is it only 6 episodes? How did it? It's too good. It was too good for the world, I think. just whoever was doing the writing. I'm not sure if it was just Kevin. It couldn't have been just Kevin Smith. But
was it before South Park, or was it at the same time?
It was around the same time. I think
around the same time.
Late 90s.
Holy shit! Paul Dini wrote for it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that would explain some stuff.
That would. And Frank Welker played Bill Clinton. So now Bill Clinton is Megatron. That's canon.
Oh, okay. Who's driving? Oh my God, Bear's driving. How can that be? Dude, we used to do that shit. Me and my friends, whenever we would go like get into a car to go somewhere, it's like, who's driving? Oh my God, Bear's driving. How can that be? we would race to say it first. It was fun. Yep. Now I just want to watch that show. Goddamn.
So anyway, the Critical Drinkers post about women.
Talking about this
dumb and racist
episode failed cartoon show from the late 90s is way more interesting than fucking talking about.
I was gonna say, like, any episode of that show is a more entertaining, inspiring, and educational watch than anything Will Jordan has ever done.
True. Yeah, you know, he's grifting to the racisms.
Yeah, why would anyone pick her? Why not?
I'm willing to bet that there's a bunch of responses under that still pick her.
Right, probably.
So this guy says he's not wrong. She's objectively the least attractive on that list. And I, of course, had to come in with the old, where's it at? Fuck, where'd my? Did I just retweet him? Is that what I did?
You might have just, yeah.
Oops.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I said here. Wait. Here. No. Wait. I don't know. Basically, I said. I was like, well, actually, I can prove that she's not objectively the least attractive one. Here, watch. I disagree with you that she's the least attractive one. Glad I could clear that up.
Right. Also, like, I don't know. It might just be me that, like, I can respect someone's attractiveness without finding them attractive if I don't know who they are. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, they look good, but who the fuck are they?
Yeah,
that's just how my brain works. I'm just like, I don't know. It's a Hollywood person, not a real person. Like that they play a caricature.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of like celebrities that I see who I can acknowledge that they are pretty, but they don't do anything for me.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And that's fine.
Right.
That's a totally normal response.
Are you clicking a thing?
Yeah, me.
Not me.
Okay.
Sorry. It's fidgety.
Yeah, it's and like, look, I don't even think like Zendaya is she's Hollywood attractive. It's like that's not, but she's also not someone who if I knew that person in my daily life or something, I wouldn't necessarily think to be like super attracted to her. I like, to be a little bit, I guess, misogynistic, I suppose. I like a little bit more meat on the bone, and that's just me.
Fair. Yeah. More to love.
Yeah. So
yeah, because like, I mean, how many, and this isn't just, I mean, this is, as we learn more and more over the years, not just true of women in Hollywood, but men as well, where like they are forced into some pretty ridiculous diets and exercise regimens for some of these roles.
Yeah,
it's not healthy.
The difference is with men, it's like seen as like a badge of honor. Like you can work out and get ripped, and it's like cool as fuck, and you're like a badass when you do that, and you're like Captain America or something. When women, like the way that they tend to drop pounds and get smaller is not seen as cool.
Well, that's what the men do too. They just don't market it that way. Like Hugh Jackman's physique in Deadpool and Wolverine is the result of like 3 days of dehydration, I think.
Oh God.
Like he was massively dehydrated so there was no water retention.
Right.
And he looked less puffy that way. But like the whole way that Hollywood media talks about fitness and diet is totally dysfunctional and gives people a completely skewed idea of what physical fitness is and how to get that way.
Right.
The fact that Bale's next movie was Batman Begins is never going to not blow my mind.
It's wild.
It's
yeah. And doing what Christian Bale did is not healthy. But you know, but at the same time, you'll see a lot of people say things like Kumail Nanjiani, for instance, they'll say, well, he has no non-famous person or no non-rich person can look that way because they don't have the resources to do it, which is also not true.
Mm-hmm.
And when you read articles like that, where they say like Kumail Nanjiani like built this body in like 3 months, that isn't true either.
No.
And you read deeper into their interviews and you'll see that like Kumail Nanjiani, for instance, in that article mentioned that he had been working out for 6 years. You know, he had a regular exercise regimen built into his life,
right?
That they just added on to.
He could do that.
And it was not an overnight transformation, but they sell it as an overnight transformation to men and boys who buy all the stupid supplements and
then what women do is like Gwyneth Paltrow, she looks the way she does, and then she like acts like she's like, I'm a lifestyle guru. You just got to do what I do. Just got to have so many hours per day dedicated to doing this very specific exercises with these very specific things, and you have your personal trainers and your personal chefs and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, everybody can do that, lady.
And the dietary supplements that she sells that are not regulated and have no
exactly
that are almost identical to the shit that Infowars sells in some cases.
Right. And the actual secret is just exercise regularly and eat a healthy diet. And do that every day for the rest of your life. That's
maybe,
it.
I don't know. I guess shove a rock up your pussy or something too. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, jade egg or something. Get some inject some bee venom into you. That's one thing she's sold, I think.
Yeah, that's a fun pipeline. It's really fun to learn about.
Did you all ever see the H Bomber guy video on soy?
Dude, that might have been my first like bread tube video that I ever saw.
I don't know that I have.
Oh, it's so brilliant. He goes into the Infowars supplements stuff and looks at their actual ingredients. And it was mostly soy.
It's mostly soy, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Paul Joseph Watson. Yes, exactly. And God, it was so, because up until that point I hadn't seen any like explicitly pushing back on that kind of shit on the internet yet. I'd never seen a video like that. And I happened upon that and was like, oh my God, he's actually going against the soy thing, and he's using science and shit to debunk this. Oh, this is amazing. And then he's also hilarious at the same time. And just like making Paul Joseph Watson look like the fucking dipshit he is.
Well, I mean, he did a Paul Joseph Watson video, but were they the same video? Because he did a separate video entirely about soy.
He did one about soy that was, a lot of it was, what I think it was, he did a video about Paul Joseph Watson first, and then Paul Joseph Watson responded and said something about soy in regards to him, and he decided, well, I'm going to do a video about soy now, and then, so yeah, I think that's the way I went down. What?
He kept wearing Fenty.
Even if his career hadn't died, I don't think, because he was kind of like piggybacking on Infowars, right? So I don't think that bad news.
And simping for Lauren Southern.
Yep. So another like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We now have the 6 degrees of Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, it's true.
I think Paul Joseph Watson either claimed or strongly publicly implied that he had sexual relations with Lauren Southern at one point. And he was salty about it.
The old Eminem Christina Aguilera move. I got you.
I don't
remember all the details. I just remember at the time
that's hot.
It's not hot at all. Sorry.
No, Dane.
It's not hot, no.
Dane, no. Like, I don't know who sunk lower there, but it was to the Marianas Trench.
You're just toxic. Shut.
That's true. I am toxic.
Anyways, you know what? This reminds me of. Morgan?
Oh yeah, I do. I do. In fact,
do I have to have it here?
Do you have it? Tell me you have it, Dane. Do you have it? Do you have it? Is it
The
safe?
freaking frog's gay.
Is it here? Do I? No way would I have gotten rid of that. That would have been up.
Now let's talk about the Transformers agenda, aka they're putting chemicals in the energon and trying to turn our bots gay. There it is.
I mean, the word trans is right there in
Right there,
Transformers, guys. What was the surprise to you?
Well, the surprise to them was that they found out that a robot didn't really care for human concepts of male and female and was just like, I don't know, call me they. And they found out about that a year after the episode aired, and they got very upset.
Mainly Ryan Kinnell, in fact, was the one that did look at their and and then Libs of TikTok as well was posting about it.
That's how I saw it. It was that piece of shit.
Well, that's almost certainly how Ryan Kinnell made a video off of Libs of TikTok's post.
Yeah, which tells you what losers these people are, because they're spending their time digging up information that's a year or two out of date that everyone who's in the fandom already knows about and doesn't care about.
Right. That's this. And that brings us back to Will Jordan and fucking Sister. Sister, that's a character in Star Wars. Yeah, she's been around for a couple of years now. What? Oh, you're not a Star Wars fan. You're just a poser who wants to push a moral panic about Star Wars. Got it. You don't actually care about Star Wars. You never have. You're a liar. You're a fraud.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why engaging with chuds by trying to outlaw them or display superior knowledge of the franchise is the wrong way to go, because they don't care about the lore. They don't care about the characters. They care about their bigotry first.
Right.
Truth.
They are bigots first. They're tourists. That's why I call them tourists. They're not here for the fandom. They're here to talk about the fandom so they can be bigots. So they can come into our tourist town of the Star Wars community or the Warhammer community or the Transformers community and shit and piss all over the streets.
Yeah. And they're here to radicalize young people to the political right. That's the goal of what they're doing.
That's the goal of what they're doing. That's why they do it.
And to make money by lying. They're here to make money by lying and to radicalize young people to the political right so they can reproduce their audience every generation and keep the money train coming.
Yeah, Bad Batch also had a female clone, though she was not trans as far as we know. Omega was not trans as far as we know. I mean, there is an inherent, trans element to her character because she is a girl, but we don't know if she's trans or not. She may have just been a cis mutant.
Well, if biology works in Star Wars like it works in our galaxy, then every vertebrate embryo is female.
Is born female. Or is conceived female and then...
Yeah, and it only becomes male through exposure to certain levels of hormones.
Correct.
So all of the clones are female to start with.
Right. All men are trans men.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But you tell that to someone who is like, okay, so life begins at conception. Okay, so then you were you were conceived a woman and you became a man. That well, huh? Oh, so you know.
Omega.
Omega is definitely transcoded.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean there's more than one trans character in Star Wars?
I mean, there's
that
more
seems
than
a
one.
bit if you ask me. One is enough. You got yours. Let us have ours.
Just all the it's the like they're adding a second black guy to Star Wars, and then a third. We're getting one new black character a trilogy. That's far too much.
Yep. Oh man, I'm having a hard time downloading these clips that I really wanted to show.
I'm sorry.
It's really bumming me out, fucking me down, as my buddy used to say. He was really trying to get that to take off back in the day. He was like, fucking me down. It's like, it's really messing me up. I don't, I was like, that's pretty good.
That's all
really
right.
Fucking me down.
Like, I don't get offended by shit.
Says the man who gets offended by everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I need to do a video explaining who Bill is. It's just a really simple video.
Sure.
Like, here's who Bill is, because I've had a couple of people ask, and I appreciate that, because I'm sure there's at least one or two people that just go along with the Bill memes, despite not knowing what he's about.
We should do a refresher course on Bill, because Bob, you don't know who Bill is, do you? You're not in the deep.
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
I know that he was involved with Mad Magazine and the target of a moral panic in the 50s. He founded it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the target of the he was the biggest, some would say the scapegoat of the Comics Code situation. He was the anti Frederick Wortham. He was the opposite, the light side of that dark side. Yeah.
And he is the one that the other, like his company, God's EC Comics.
EC Comics, yes. Originally educational comics when his dad started it, but whenever he took over, it was entertaining comics.
Right, because they were the biggest horror comics publisher, the other comics publishers that had sort of been more cape focused were losing market share to him, and when Wortham got involved in pushing for a regulation of comics, he became the scapegoat. And he gives some pretty badass testimony before Congress, before a congressional committee on the subject.
Mm-hmm. And I think I have maybe have a little bit of a clip of that somewhere here. Let's see.
And also, while you're looking for that, also this was once the Comics Code was in place, and the comics had to go to the authority to be distributed. He fought back against them with a comic called Judgment Day, which is about a astronaut visiting.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it, but is it an astronaut visiting an alien civilization of robots to see if they're ready to be invited into the galactic community? And what happens at the end upsets someone at the Comics Code Authority.
What happens next will surprise you, in a cool way. But
like the comics art, I mean, it's very 50s, but it is like I fucking love the art in it. So
here's a
Does he
little
return
taste.
to a planet full of apes?
No.
It's on that level of like, oh shit, kind of.
It's sort of that level of twist, though. Yeah.
No one was doing horror comics when we came out with R3. Very quickly, I think there were 130. Of course, they didn't have the art and they didn't have the stories. But in all honesty, I can't say they were gorier than we were, because we figured we could out-gore anybody, and we did.
Guy murders his wife and he eats her.
Yeah. There's more, but nonetheless. Yeah, I think we're good. We fapped it. We've done a violent fap.
Yeah.
And we had a lot more fun violently fapping than I thought we would.
Well, it's one of those laugh so you don't cry situations, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because shit's rough out there, so be safe, pay attention, and take care of yourselves and others.
Yeah, and take heart. The trends are leaning in Kamala's favor.
Yeah.
Do not get complacent and think that it's inevitable, because it is not. It could still go very, very badly, because the national numbers don't matter as much as the precinct level numbers in the swing states do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
And right now, those are also leaning in her favor, but not by very much.
Right.
So do your duty, vote as soon as you can, have a self-protection plan if you live in a red area and you're a marginalized person.
And then look, if we could manage to get her into office and she wins, and then we can get past this little bout of attempted fascism that's happening currently, we got to have a conversation about how the fuck we proceed as a country whenever we have to actually worry about that, the vote being so close. Because
it's not over. If we defeat Trump at the polls, in November, and we managed to get through all the fuckery that comes after that and actually have Kamala assume power legally, this is not over. Trump, even if Trump dies, this is not over. He has spawned an entire movement.
And it definitely, you're right, but you're not at the same time, because I think that without Trump, without specifically Trump as the figurehead, there will be a lot of time before the next pointed attempt. Like they're going to need to.
There will be a power vacuum, and they will die down for a time, and a lot of people will have a reckoning where they realize they were insane for a while by following him.
Well, and there will be a lot of infighting between people who want to be his successor.
Right, but the movement he has
spawned.
I wouldn't say he found it. He didn't found the movement, but the movement is stronger now than it's ever been because of him, and it's not just going to completely fade away.
No,
Steve Bannon will have to figure out where he's going to point it.
And Peter Thiel has definitely increased his share in all of this.
Yeah, all of the billionaires still want a Christian nationalist state.
And
not all of them, but
not all of them. Yeah, the
most of them still do, because it helps their bottom line.
Here's what I say to them: is this
the one thing we can do if we win, if Trump dies and there is that moment of breathing room, is, and when I say
heaven forbid he died, though, we don't wish that on him. That's terrible.
He is an 80-something-year-old guy. He's going to die, Dane.
No.
I mean, if he assumes power through either legitimate or illegitimate means, he will die in office.
Yeah, he will die in
almost certainly.
Yeah, because Peter Thiel will have him killed so he can have his puppet in charge.
Maybe.
That's my conspiracy. Like, if I'm gonna have my conspiracy theory, that's like JD Vance's involvement in Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, and he's been a senator for 2 years, and now he's a vice presidential nominee, and he's not an influential senator.
Look,
he's kind of a nobody.
I hate to point to Dean being correct, but he is. He's just, this really is kind of this simple. These two comments, this, and then this.
Yeah, I think if Democrats do win, what they need to do is do things to improve people's lives. Because if there is one thing that historically mitigates the rise of fascism, it's a growing middle class and a safety net and a lifestyle that is not given to fear.
Yeah, I don't think Trump. I don't think it's certain he's going to win. There is a real chance he's not going to win, and it's a good chance. It's not a big one. It's a very close, and slim chance, but it's a real chance that Kamala is going to win the election.
See, I think they've probably almost certainly put more effort into whatever tactics they're going to try to steal the election than they have to win it, and that might be the saving grace, is that, like, if we can hold them, if they can actually not manage to fucking steal it, then they will have failed at actually campaigning to win.
And that's why they haven't been campaigning very effectively, is because he has a backup plan and he's relying on that to get him into office and not on winning the election. So he's doing basically the bare minimum of campaigning, because he's an old, tired man who I think really doesn't want to do any of this, but he knows if he doesn't, he's going to die in prison, or at least thinks he's going to die in prison. I don't think he would ever see the inside of a jail cell either way, but that's what he thinks. And so he's not going to rely on a legitimate transfer of power to get him into the White House.
And the GOP as a political project has abandoned the concept of representative democracy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, but at the same time, there's an institution they have, but then this guy, though, he's going to be voting.
Just keep it flying.
Keep it flying? And why do you want to keep it flying?
Why would anybody want to erase our heritage?
Well, some people would say that flag symbolizes racism, it symbolizes slavery, and they might have some valid points there.
That's their opinion. They're welcome to their opinion if they want it.
Are you pro-slavery or against slavery?
I have no comment, but thank you for the interview.
I'll give you one more chance. Pro or anti-slavery?
No comment.
That guy's
He's voting. He's voting.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Notice he was wearing the dark MAGA hat, just like Elon Musk was.
Mhm.
Right.
I don't even want to talk about Elon Musk and that Trump rally.
No. Yeah. I mean, it borders on me being ableist, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was going to say I have a hot take about that, which is
Sure,
that I think
hit
we should not be mocking Elon Musk for jumping up and down and being what we call cringe, because
No.
even for men that we hate, we should have a society in which it's acceptable to express your emotions when you're feeling very strongly about something.
True.
No,
as long as you don't hurt yourself or anybody else. But
right.
That's like, there are many things wrong with Elon Musk appearing at the Trump rally and saying the things he did, but jumping up and down like a goofball is not what he did wrong.
No, what he did wrong is that he runs a super PAC, and it is against the law for him to coordinate with a candidate for office.
Yeah,
which he did in the most public way possible. And
well, I mean, he can appear at a rally and give his endorsement. He just can't legally.
All right. Well, let's not talk about Elon anymore.
Yeah.
Fuck Elon. I want to promote this because I haven't promoted it this episode, but like,
and you should.
If you're able to help out with this, that it would be pretty fantastic. It's already been pretty fantastic in terms of people helping out. So yeah, the link is in chat. It's also in the description of the stream.
And it's that QR code on your screen. I imagine.
It is also that QR code. Yes, that's right. Forgot about that. Went through the effort of making it and then just forgot to mention it. Yeah, there's that. Also, okay, I got a couple of clips I'm going to end with, but we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. I think probably the Shillcast is doing a thing this week. I think.
Woo! Shillcast.
And yeah, I got some videos coming up. Okay, I got some cool stuff happening. It'll be fun. Have good times doing good things and taking care of each other and so on and so forth. And also, Big American Party.
Find in favor of
Big American Party! Yay! Everybody disco dancing. Lots of fun. Good time for all. I'm having very good time. Robot dancing? Oh no, please! Quickly in here! Who is driving? Oh my god, Bear is driving! How can that be? Car full of midgets! Korean animation studio! Everybody work! Everybody work! Everybody work! He big mean man whip us! We are slaves! Here we are! Help us! We will stop you! There's no escape this time! No, it is you who will be the one escaping! Not Pikachu! Please don't sue! Ha ha ha! Axel Foley, Judge Reinhold! Tom Cruise! Oh no! You want the truth? You can't handle the truth! Show me the money! Oh no!
Next week on Clerks.
Give me all your money! The safe, too!
Hold on. I'm new here.
You're all out of paper towels. Awesome! Totally awesome! Way to go, Hamilton! Well, that's it. I'm gonna sue you for $10 million.
Me too!
May Bill Gaines shine his heavenly light upon you and impregnate you with many happy days and joy fetuses. May your anuses be cleansed by the purifying light that exudes from Bill Gaines' eternal dragon phallus. Should you meet your mortal demise this day, go with comfort that you have satisfied the commands of the one true Bill. Those being this: read comic books. Fuck the dumb shit. Be yourself. Love each other. Also, read more comics and grow your hair out all goddamn while. Amen.
Actual fandom is not going to stop.